Welcome back to Stars and Myths. All tradition in the world tells stories. But where do these stories come from? Are there connections between myths in different traditions? Or are we each independently inventing stories that happen to look the same? Is one of the oldest and most profound questions in the study of human culture. In our last episode, we built a model to analyze a global map of myths. Now we will use it to answer that question. The question has been present at least since C.J. Jung's work on archetypes. My interest in Carl Gustav Jung partly arose because his family home is within walking distance from where we live. Nowadays it's a museum. His library still contains his original books, and the many books about mythology demonstrate his profound interest in the topic. Jung's notion of archetypes assumes that the human psyche contains primordial image or form, like the hero, the mother, the trickster, that emerge from a collective unconscious, which are therefore recurrent across cultures. In the decades since Jung, many scholars have argued that cross-cultural similarities in myths do not exclusively result from psychic inheritance. Similar stories may emerge whenever society faces analog social, economic, or ecological pressure. Myths are produced within specific historical and material conditions, often reflecting power struggles. While these social economic conditions are not completely random, they occur at different times and places, so we can treat them as independent emergence events in the model we presented in the last episode. Independent emergence is therefore not limited to archetypes. How myths propagate is more than just an academic debate. It's a question about who we are. Are we a collection of isolated culture destined to have the same story in isolation whenever some conditions are fulfilled? Or are we deeply interconnected through myths and motifs that we exchange with our neighbors? Our model furnishes an answer driven by data. Let's recall that the model has three components. The first one describes the propagation of motifs to the nearest neighbor. The left image describes that process. The place of origin can be anywhere on Earth, or more precisely, in our example, the largest point on the grid. A motif in a tradition also has a probability of disappearing. Finally, the model includes a component that describes independent emergence, where the same motif emerges randomly and independently at multiple locations. The right image shows the effect of that component. Motifs are found randomly at any location. What we'd like to find out is which components best describe the data. The statistic we consider here is about the dispersion of myths. Specifically, how spread out are they? We use a computational method to connect all the locations of a single myth motif using the shortest possible path as illustrated here. A tree with many short branches indicates tight local clustering, while one with long branches suggests a more scattered random distribution, such as in the case of independent emergence. To relate the simulation of the grid to real distance, we need to find out the best conversion factor for a unit distance on a grid in terms of real-world kilometers. A unit distance on a grid is, for instance, the distance between two nodes, here marked by the arrows. The conversion factors allows for a direct comparison between the spatial patterns of a simulation and the actual myth. It turned out that the unit of distance corresponds to 850 kilometers. So for each motif, one obtains a tree. After analyzing the complete database, we made a statistic on all trees. Let's see the result. The plots here show the distribution of all distance for the 2,200 trees in the database at two values of the independent emergence probability. On the left, the graph shows the best fit, with no independent emergence, but birth by contact and death disappearance. The blue line is a curve for real-world motifs. The red line represents our computer model prediction. Fit is quite remarkable, spanning almost 4 orders of magnitude, which is a factor of approximately 10,000. Now, look to the right. Here the model includes a noticeable amount of independent emergence, myths popping up randomly. The fit is not nearly as good, especially for myths found far apart. The life cycle model without independent emergence performs much better in matching the real data than the model with an additional component describing independent emergence. The model uses probability. Each trial is slightly different. Each simulation was run 20 times to statistically test the result. We repeated the test with many different independent emergence probabilities. Let's summarize the result. With one independent emergence somewhere in the world in 1,000 steps, the error with independent emergence was higher than without in all 20 trials. The statistical probability of this happening by chance, if the two models were equally good, is less than 1 in a million. Pushing now to the limit, we load a new myth to appear randomly on average just once every 2,000 steps, or roughly one independent emergent event every 2,800 years. The dating is a teaser for our next episode on this subject. In that case, some trials are better than those with no emergence. We're ranking the different trials according to success, and the version without independent emergence was still statistically better at a 5% level. We are reaching the limits for distinguishing between the two models. An independent motifs appear in that case at most 4% of the motif during its lifetime. So it's not much. The picture becomes more complex if one differentiates between motifs with short and long lifetimes. There's a significant probability for motifs with long lifetime to emerge independently several times. A perfect example is a widespread motif of the man on the moon, where hundreds of traditions worldwide have looked up at the same lunar features and most likely independently seen the image of a person. So what does our analysis tell us? A model in which motifs are predominantly shared between neighboring traditions provide a much better explanation of the observed pattern than a scenario where the same myths frequently arise in different places. Nevertheless, it's plausible that similar motifs, especially those with a long lifetime, such as sky and astral motifs, might arise at several locations independently. I like to use the image of each tradition having a bag of motifs. The various myths arise from the multiple combination of motifs in narrative, resulting in thousands of stories. Our model suggests how these bags are filled. Neighboring traditions share motifs, even if they don't like each other. Motifs pass from neighbor to neighbor over thousands of years of trade, migration, contact, war. In our next episode, we'll explore one central question. Can one estimate myth motifs' lifetime using our model? And here, some references if you want to dig further. Stay tuned. Bye bye.